If you have a 20-something still living at home, this next conversation is for you because my next guest is poised to focus in on what she says is the most difficult life transition facing baby boomers today.
Hey, boys.
Hey.
Hi. Trip, we're going out.
All right, listen, got any more chips and salsa downstairs?
Oh, I didn't get to the store.
Yeah.
But you could go. And you said you needed your basketball shorts, so I put them in the laundry.
All right, thank you, baby.
But I didn't get to it. So you're gonna need to do a load.
Load?
And your bathroom needs cleaning. So I left the stuff in the hall, and when you're done with the rubber gloves, just remember to turn them inside out. Bye.
Something's wrong with your mom.
All right, it's more than just a failure to launch, which happens to be the name of that hilarious movie. Today's young adults live in a different world and are faced with different challenges. So think crippling debt, a highly competitive job market, the pressure to perform and succeed early on, and there's that constant comparison with peers via social media. So what is the right balance and the right dynamic when adult parents find themselves still raising adult children? Studio 5 contributor Dr. Liz Hale says with the clear communication and the right boundaries, you should be able to enjoy this phase of parenthood.
Can be the best phase of parenthood.
Let's go there.
The parents I talked to.
Let's send it there. Can I start though, Liz, with somewhat of a touchy topic?
Sure.
Do you think there should be a cutoff when it comes to a child moving out of the house?
Right, and then the cutoff is just such a personal choice, right? Because all children are different, and each child I think you have to take on a case-by-case basis. So maybe it's your adult son who he might be starting to get cut off after a year of working and paying his bills, or maybe your adult daughter gets cut off as she finds an apartment she can afford with her salary, but she still comes home for a few dinners during the week, right? So I think it is just very, very personal. It's not really age-based, unless you're Matthew McConaughey and it's caught up at 35, right?
And your mom's still doing your laundry.
That's right.
And shopping for your groceries. And it's so easy to armchair quarterback the situation, but I have found myself thinking about this, like what would I do?
Yeah.
And what I hear you speaking to is like growth and goals. And as long as that's happening, like emotional growth, physical growth, mental growth, whatever it is, as long as that's happening, that might help set the timeline a little bit.
And parents, sometimes have children with special needs and mental health issues, so that's a little bit different. And sometimes those launching steps are a few bit more, right? But as long as there's good communication and setting a precedence for each other and expectations, you're good to launch and be successful.
You're impressed with the book taking on this topic.
I am. Well, there's just not enough good resources. You are a parent to adult children far longer than you're a parent to small children. But I thought Jim Burns' book was so good. Doing Life with Your Adult Children, I think we have a copy there. He says, keep your mouth shut and the welcome mat out. I really like that. And he proposes these 5 different questions that I really wanted to bring to our audience today, our viewers.
Let's jump into the question list. Number 1, have you given your child the passport to adulthood?
Yes, even if adult children aren't acting like adults, you as a parent really need to set a precedence. And you need to give them that passport. You really are not in charge anymore, and you really have to give it over to them. And I think parents really take the lead on this. And don't expect children to. I think children want to, but even if they're not acting like it, sometimes we want to pull the reins back, right? But we have to let the reins go. I liked that he shares a story of his teenage daughter. She'd gone to college her freshman year and came home, and she had a nose ring. And a couple things he said are like not on his battle list would be like nose rings and tattoos. He's just going to leave those alone. So he didn't say anything, but she kind of wanted his feedback, And so he finally said, your nose, your decision. But I can't help but wonder if she was trying to ask a little bit more like, so I have a nose ring. Are you still going to pay for my car insurance and my cell phone? And maybe even deeper is, even if I live a little bit differently than you want me to, are you still going to love me?
Yes.
There's a little bit of a testing there, and parents need to keep their arms and their hearts wide open.
Well, it brings out the title of the book, Keep the Welcome Mat Out. I love that. Keep your mouth shut and the welcome mat
Say
out.
a little bit less.
Question number 2, are you enabling dependency? And this one might be hard to kind of self-diagnose.
It is hard, right? Because parents really want to be needed. I mean, we do all have that secret need to be needed. I think we don't always see it. One family in particular, their daughter married, and she kept the credit card, and she kept using it after marriage. And they were complaining about their daughter and her new husband and how financially irresponsible they were. But it really wasn't the daughter's fault. It was the parents.
That credit line was open.
Yeah, that credit line was open. The money tree was right out there front and center. So your job, of course, is to prepare your kids, right, for the adult life, and then to just let them go. They are now responsible for themselves emotionally, socially, financially. That's really saying to them, I believe in you, I trust you.
Even if they're coming through your door or they're in the room downstairs, that, like you said, the leash needs to be
That's right.
let go of.
That's
Question
right.
number 3, do you want it more than they want it? What is
Oh,
it?
boy, that is so true, isn't it? You know, I heard the sweet statement say that when children are young, they climb all over you and step all over your feet, right? And then as they get older and they make poor decisions, they step all over your heart. You know, and it's really true. Sometimes kids, their virtues or values are just not ours. One adult couple, their daughter had left for college across country, and somehow they found a social media account with her name on it, and she had turned into quite the party girl that they didn't know, and had made some different decisions. She'd moved out of the dorm to live with her boyfriend. They were still paying for this empty dorm, so they took a trip to go see their daughter in person and to let her know, wow, you are making some adult decisions, and we will make a few adult decisions of our own. So we'll no longer be paying for school, but we're going to respect and honor the decisions you make. And that didn't go so well. She was mad, and she called them unloving, and I think even said, and you call yourselves Christians, you know? She just couldn't see her own self. But they stayed firm, and they said, you know, we're still going to send you a plane ticket home for Christmas and care packages. The love is still here. She may not accept that love, but parents have to hold firm and still be very loving. And you know what's interesting is that I think experience is the best teacher, right? Peter Drucker said it in business and in parenting, is that you make mistakes and that's how you learn. And you want to keep your arms and your home open because that adult child may fall. And they want to know that they can still come to you for advice and help. And you'll be there.
It's a good example. I think it illustrates the emotion that can play into this, right? Because the love is there. I mean, the desire to be needed and the desire to care is there.
It's the hardest on parents, right? Because here they've had this 20-year plus career of putting their heart and soul into something, and someone telling them, you know what, your job is no longer wanted here.
Yeah.
You know, you're no longer needed, and that's just got to be so hard for them. And I think it's important to grieve that role so that you can embrace the new adult role, adult to adult.
We've got 1 more minute left, 2 questions. Question number 4, are you communicating with your adult kids on an adult level?
Yeah, you know, express your desires and your expectations. And unsolicited advice is always going to be heard as criticism. And you don't trust me, right? You don't like how I'm living my life. When parents realize eventually that not everything in this world needs a comment, they're way ahead of the game, right? So speak less, you know, and just agree with what is lovely in your heart. Just like, oh, isn't that great? And leave the rest unspoken.
And as you said, trust experience to be the teacher
That's
in many
right,
of these
that's right.
situations. And finally, are you ready for the boomerang?
Yeah. You know, the Pew Research Center reported that for the first time in 130 years, children between 18 and 34 are living more at home than they are on their own. In the first time in 130 years, that's pretty different. And reasons for, you said earlier, children are also marrying later, right? And there's a lot of debt. College is really expensive, and jobs are kind of hard to come by for some people. So it's happening, and I think we need to be ready for it and have those conversations sooner. That's probably the biggest mistake families make, is they don't set the expectations before a child moves back in, right? And the expectations on both sides.
Yeah.
You know, what is that child expecting? What are you expecting? And it's fine to set down your morals and say, this is kind of what we expect here. And a child has to decide whether they want to accept that or not.
You framed
They
it.
do have options.
You framed it in a really approachable way. Thank you so much, Liz.